NDTV continues to call for justice for Chaithanya. Now, remember this 20-year-old young nursing student died by suicide and alleged that harassment at the hands of the warden. The Kerala police probe in the abetment of suicide angle as the parents are demanding the arrest of the warden. The police says that more student testimonies are needed. Meanwhile, the BJP newly minted Kerala chief has also spoken out on this. It has said that this is travesty of justice. The students, fellow students of Chaithanya are asking only one question, and so are we. When will the heads roll?
Mr. Chandrasekhar, you know, we are running this campaign on NDTV with regards to justice for 20-year-old Chaithanya, a student, a nursing student who lost her life. She died by suicide. My question is that Kerala is a society which has high literacy rate. It's a society which has fine education institutions, but these education institutions perhaps are evading responsibility and accountability.
Look, it is a real tragedy that at a time when the world and the whole economic framework of the world is resting on talented youngsters, whether you are talking about AI or electronics or digitalization or innovation or manufacturing. Every country is looking at its youth as an asset. Every state is looking at its young demography as a potential competitive advantage. We have Kerala which started off as being a hub for education, hub for sciences, hub for culture, is now becoming a state, has become a state where universities and colleges are hubs of violence, hubs of drugs, hubs where children parents feel feel that it's unsafe to send their children. And that is why so many colleges today undergraduate colleges have up to 30 and 40% of the seats vacant, because children are being sent outside the state for studying. Children, when they finish studying, go outside the state to pursue their careers. It is really a travesty that a state that was very long ago 100% literate state is today playing really slipshod politics and allowing the young youth of our state to leave either the state or being held captive to drugs and campus violence. Even during my elections, just before the Lok Sabha election, a young dental student went to college, a 21, 23-year-old boy, and ended up dead because he was ragged and subjected to violence by some left union members. So this is not, in today's 2025 age, you don't go to a university or a college to be intimidated and face violence. You go to learn, go to learn skills, and you go to universities, you look to universities and colleges as a place to improve your future. Instead, in Kerala, you see, as you're seeing with your own campaign, a lot of children find that their futures are brought to a brutal end because of the violence and or the drugs that are becoming the norm here. It is my state. I have studied here. I love my state more than or equal to anybody else, and this is not something that any well-meaning, well-thinking Malayali should allow for even one day more. And that is why I believe change is required in Kerala, change in our politics, change in our priorities.
So that, now the clamor is going, not only the students, the political parties are all talking about when will the real action take place, will the accountability be fixed as far as the institution is concerned, and also about the warden, will the abetment to suicide charges be in fact put on her? That's the big question. Joining me at this moment on the broadcast, Priyadarshini, she's a student leader who's joining us at this moment. We are also being joined by Dr. Rajiv Jayadevan, convener of the Research Cell, Indian Medical Association, Kerala State. We are also being joined by Nirmal Kaur, retired IPS, former DGP, and we are being joined by Kevin Matthew, political analyst, supports the government of Kerala. Kevin, let me start by asking you this. I mean, if the students are not the priority, and we have been reporting continuously on the kind of harassment that this girl faced at that time, when she was alive. She also is the only child. Her poor parents were able to, in fact, send for higher education. Other siblings have not been that fortunate. It's a very, very tragic story. What is the government waiting for? For the media to take this up? Only then the action will take place?
No, sir, that is not the case. Now, if you look at the facts of the case, the warden, this is basically an issue between the warden and the warden has been removed from her post, and inquiry is on its way. So, but we are not in a banana republic, and the law of the land has to take its own due course. Yes, our systems are a bit rugged. There are challenges there. Let us also work towards changing the systems. But as an when we have a system now, and that has to be followed.
Has to be
Let
followed. No,
us
you are.
let us
Hold on,
today
sir.
start a
Hold on,
campaign
hold
to
on.
change the
The
system. But as long
motive,
as the system
there
is
are
there,
multiple
the police.
complaints. Hold on, Matthew. There are multiple complaints against the warden. There are questions being raised on the way these educational institutions are in fact working without taking care of any laws and rules. People are asking for more vigilance from the government. You are telling me that demotion is good enough and we are not a banana republic. Let me just make it very clear for you. Nirmal Kaur, a girl commits, dies by suicide, harms herself, stays in coma for 3 months. Students, her fellow students, more than 3 of them have given testimonies on the way the warden treated her. She has also made complaints against the warden. Is that not enough ground for more serious action to be taken?
Definitely, a poor girl coming from a poor background where the parents can't even afford to educate her, and she comes here and maybe she's doing some work on the side to support herself, to support her education, taking tuitions or getting out to work. If she's late in coming back, she's tired, she's sick, and is refused water and food in the hostel. Obviously, she's not rich enough to eat outside. She's come to the hostel and she's eating there, and she was denied that. And for a self-respecting farmer's daughter, that's humiliating. She commits suicide, or at least attempts to commit suicide, which is even worse than suicide. She goes into a coma, is there for months, and then eventually she dies. So more empathy is required in these educational institutions from the wardens to understand it, student's situation. What is his background? Where does he come from? Is he really? How is he financially?
Ma'am,
what is his social moorings?
for the benefit of Mr. Matthew, can I understand from you, because you have experience in dealing with such cases as the top officer of the police force, should the government, a demotion of the warden is enough? Can the police legally could have done more? Like, Mr. Matthew seems to be suggesting that it's not a banana republic, law will follow its own course. Should the law in the last 3 months and after now she has passed away be more proactive, madam, so that, repeat doesn't take place?
The investigation shows, some testimonies from the students have come. The girl herself, perhaps in her dying declaration, in her last words, alleged that the warden was harassing her. The harassment caused it. So definitely it is a case of abatement to suicide, in my opinion, in view of this kind of evidence. Maybe it needs more on-hand, on-the-ground investigation. But prima facie, what we see in the media, on the basis of that, it seems like that the warden was very instrumental in her suicide.
Right.
She harassed her. She made her so desperate that she had that poor self-respecting girl, hungry, thirsty. She had no option but to jump off.
Dr. Jayadevan, let me understand from you, sir. People are now taking this case as an example of what is wrong with our education system. Kerala, a bulk of students, in fact, do opt for nursing courses and others. Is it time to relook in the way we are treating, training, and ensuring that these students get the best education?
Absolutely. This is a horrendous tragedy that Chaithanya passed away after this suicide attempt. Now, for our viewers, let me just take them through the basics of suicide first. I think many of our viewers do not understand it clearly. In Kerala, which is number 2 in India in terms of number of suicides per population, 29 people kill themselves every day in the state. And other states are very close behind, all right? Sikkim is just above Kerala. Now, what is more scary and more important is for every completed suicide, that is successful suicide, when a person dies, there are 20 attempts, suicide attempts. So for every 20 suicide attempts, there are many more people who are actually thinking about suicide. So when we discuss programs like this, we must discuss this matter with great sensitivity, because we may be inserting thoughts into people who may be having just an ideation. And here is a scary statistic for you. We are under the impression that suicides occur over a period of 6 months or 3 months or at least a week's planning.
Yes.
Did you know that half the suicides, 48%, the gap between thought and action, suicidal thought and action, is less than 10 minutes? So, this means that a stressed out individual, regardless of what their background is, some people are more sensitive, some people may have an underlying condition, some people may have a different personality or have a different upbringing, they may have a different background. These people could potentially harm themselves. So it's very important in such situations where, for example, a hostel or a college or an office, if someone is sad, they must get help immediately.
And this needs to be enforced. I mean, if it is not voluntarily happening, the government needs to step in and enforce and ensure that there are certain provisions put in place, certain practices put in place that are need to follow for the well-being of these students. Mr. Matthew, brushing it aside is not what is going to, in fact, work.
Sir, nobody.
Like the doctor, in fact, was saying that Kerala is looking at a very serious problem, and it needs government's intervention at a much higher level than just saying, oh, the law is taking its own course. I have to slip into a very short break. I'm coming back. We are going to discuss this further, because we are not going to leave this, ladies and gentlemen. There has to be accountability fix. Lives can't be ruined like this. Kevin, Matthew, let me understand once again from you. Do you believe that the government has been sensitive enough in this case, and there needs to be more SOPs or possibly much more that needs to be done so that a repeat of this does not take place?
Sir, I agree with you when I say that our systems have been lacking. There have been multiple issues. This need to be resolved. But my heart goes out to the family of Chaithanya. What has happened is absolutely horrendous. It shouldn't have happened. What has happened in the previous case also, it shouldn't have happened. These things shouldn't happen, but these do happen, and we need to take steps. We definitely need to take steps to stop this.
Sir, but the first step in that direction would be to fixing accountability and holding the institutions, which are responsible for a young life being snuffed out in this manner. That's the first, in fact, step in the right direction. Dr. Jayadevan, let me, because I'm completely out of time, let me end this at this moment with asking you this. If there are people, those who are watching, and we are hoping that Chaithanya, at least with her life, the only change that she's been able to make is that nobody else has to go through the ordeal that she does. What would you say to those who are studying at these moments, young, impressionable minds? They may be going through their own struggles, not to give up.
Yes, hostels have rules for the students' own safety and discipline. We saw the case of a horrendous ragging episode where 5 nursing students were arrested just 2 months back in Kerala. Now, discipline is double-edged. It can, if it is too much, if it is too harsh, it can be a problem. If it is too soft, also the students themselves, their safety is compromised. So students must understand that suicide is not a solution. Students must have a system where they can safely and anonymously report problems, either among themselves. For instance, ragging, it is still rampant all over India. And second, harassment by, for example, wardens, in offices, harassment by superiors, in offices and in colleges, harassment by colleagues. All of these, there has to be a system in place to voluntarily and safely report them, and also a helpline. See, I am an office bearer for the Medical Association. We have a helpline for doctors. If I am feeling stressed, there is a helpline for me to call. So every institution must have a helpline where a student who is stressed out can reach out safely with confidentiality, and where he or she can get help. And that's the change we need.
That's the change, and that change is going to come from a systemic level. There has to be more empathy, more understanding. A lot of people are going through a lot of issues. It's very hard for parents of like Chaithanya's to, in fact, even think of getting their daughter educated, a better life for them. And if a life is snuffed away in this manner, it only leaves a lot of questions on all of us as society and the systems that we live in. Thank you so much, to all of you for joining me at this moment on this broadcast. Remember, our campaign will continue. We'll keep speaking about it till the time there is some concrete action taken in this case. As we say, heads must roll. No more Chaithanyas.